Hey everybody, how is it going? I'm 8 Shots here again today with another CDL Pick'ems bracket video. This week it's the Minnesota Rocker home series, and I'm going to be going over my bracket, my picks, and predictions of who's going to win this week and who's going to lose. If you guys like this video, please do not forget to leave a like. And if you're not subscribed already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and comment down below who you guys think is going to come out on top and who's going to come out on bottom this week in the Minnesota Rocker home series. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And without any further ado, let's get right up into this video, guys. The first game to kick everything off is my Toronto Ultra and the Los Angeles Gorillas. Now, Toronto did come off with the win last week, but it was against Minnesota, who isn't playing as strong as they should be. And LAG unfortunately lost both their games last week, and I have them losing again. I have Toronto Ultra beating LAG 3-0. Toronto Ultra is just straight up the most dominant team in my opinion. And no shit on the LA Gorillas, but I'd honestly be a little surprised if they were to be able to pull off a map against Toronto. The following game is the Minnesota Rocker, their first game of their home series against the Seattle Surge. Now, Minnesota is one of those, in my opinion, middle of the pack teams. They haven't shown really much improvement over the season. They're up and down, And Seattle Surge has proven to be a bit of a contender when it comes to land competition, but online they're still not really pulling off the expectations I think people are expecting from them. They lost to Florida last week. I actually have them very close to Minnesota. I still have Minnesota beating the Seattle Surge 3-2, but I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think the Seattle Surge are going to fold very too easily against Minnesota, but I do see this being a close game. Honestly, even if Seattle happens to pull off the victory in this round, I still think it's going to be a very close game, 3-2 either way. The following day, we have the Dallas Empire and the Florida Mutineers. Now, both of these teams had one game last week, and they both won them. Havoc and Neptune absolutely popped off on the Florida Mutineers, and Dallas got the job done with LAG. So I think this could be a close game in my mind, but in my bracket, I have it going 3-1 Dallas Empire over Florida. I think Florida's a good team and maybe going to even be a competitor in champs, but going up against the Dallas Empire, I don't see them pulling off the victory, but it could be a close game. But in my bracket, I'm giving it to Dallas Empire 3-1 over Florida. The following game is Atlanta FaZe and the LA Thieves. The Thieves probably had one of the most impressive series last week, beating the New York Subliners and the London Royal Ravens. I know the London Royal Ravens isn't too much to brag about by beating, but given the struggles that the Los Angeles Thieves have had, it seems their new roster now, which includes John, looks like this is the roster they're going to be sticking with through all the way to champs. I don't see any reason why they would switch this up. It seems to be working pretty well for them. But FaZe is still FaZe. They had an easy schedule last week with Paris and London. I know that's not much to really go off about, but FaZe is still FaZe. Let's not forget. I have them beating the Los Angeles Thieves 3-1. With all the improvements that the Thieves are making, I still don't think they're at the level of FaZe clearly, and I have FaZe taking them 3-1. I'm giving one map to the Thieves. Rolling into Saturday, we have the New York Subliners and the London Royal Ravens. This is the only game for each of these teams this week. And both of these teams had quite disappointing losses last week, losing both of their games. The New York Subliners, surprisingly to the LA Thieves and to Optic Chicago. I don't think the Optic one was so much more surprising than the Thieves one, but I still don't think people were looking at the Subliners to get swept the way that they did. I think they're going to regroup this past week, come back playing better, come back playing smarter. They are going against the London Royal Ravens, which is their only game this week. I do see them pulling off the victory, though, against London. I have it 3-1 on my bracket. Given the struggles they had last week, I still think they're the better team than London. And honestly, I think it would be a little alarming if the New York Subliners lost to the Ravens this week. Yes, there's still another major to go, and they're still champs, and they're obviously locked in. But you don't want to start going downhill now, getting closer to champs, losing all that momentum that you've been building up and bringing in to these following stages. So Hopefully, for New York's sake, they can pull it together. Hopefully, that was just an off week for them and they can come back playing just like they did in the last stage. Next up, Florida Mutineers and the LA Gorillas. Now, earlier in this series, I gave both these teams a loss, but in this time around, obviously one has to come out on top. I'm giving it to the Florida Mutineers over LAG 3-1. Like I said, Neptune and Havoc were going off last week. Awakening as well. Can't forget about Big Wake. And I think they're going to pull it together over the LAG after they take a loss to Dallas that I predict. And if they do, if they do end up beating Dallas, I think it'll bring them all that more momentum against the LAG and possibly get them a sweep. But I am giving LAG one map this time around. Next is the Mountain Dew Game Fuel Marquee match, and it's the Toronto Ultra and Seattle Surge. I have my Toronto Ultra boys taking another sweep in this series, 3-0 against the Seattle Surge. I don't see Seattle like at all becoming even winning one map against a FaZe, an Ultra, or even a Dallas Empire. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I see it. I don't see them winning a map here. I'm giving my Ultra boys this 3-0. I have them beating the LEG earlier 3-0 as well. So if my predictions come true, that's 2 sweeps in this series, and that's going to be a lot of momentum to bring into the next one in Seattle. So let's go Ultra 3-0. Ending everything off on the last day here on Sunday, we have the Los Angeles Thieves and Paris Legion. I'm giving this to the LA Thieves 3-1. Paris got swept in their last 2 games in the last series, and their next game isn't till the last day here on Sunday. That's not a lot of momentum to bring into here. You could argue maybe some more practice time, but over a roster like the Thieves, I still think they're gonna bring it out on top. And I'm going to give Paris one map. I don't think they're going to be so much in the dumps that they're going to get swept by the Thieves. It's possibly it could happen. I'm not saying it couldn't, but on my bracket, I'm giving them one map, LA Thieves, 3-1 over Paris Legion. Next game is probably the biggest game out of this week. It's one that everybody in the CDL religiously waits for, and it's the other Mountain Dew Game Fuel Marquee match. It's the Atlanta FaZe and Optic Chicago. Now, I feel like I give the same outcome every time. I'm giving it to FaZe 3-2 over Optic. Both of these teams played 2 games last week. They both got sweeps, given they were sort of against easy opponents besides Optic playing NYSL. I think this is going to be very tight. Yes, they were easy opponents last week, but Optic Chicago is playing better. FaZe is still, they're the dominant powerhouse in Black Ops Cold War, and I have to give it to FaZe 3-2. I still have more an affectionate side from Optic and my scump, but I'm sorry, bro. I don't see him doing it this week. I'm giving it to FaZe once again, 3-2, which I'm pretty sure I've almost given it to FaZe every time in a 3-2 fashion. And last but certainly not least, it's the Minnesota Rockers' last game for their home series, and they're going up against the Dallas Empire. And unfortunately for them, I don't have them pulling off the victory. I have Dallas Empire taking this 3-1. In order for Minnesota to beat Dallas, they're really going to have to pull together and play a lot better than they have been to beat Dallas. Like I've said, Minnesota Rocker, my mind and like podcasters have said, have always sort of been in like the middle of the pack, and they haven't really shown too much improvement. They haven't really been dropping when you could say they're a bottom 4 team or they're miserable, not at all. But you also can't say that they've grown and shown an awful lot of improvement this year, as well as KDs are still within the same range as they were in the last couple of stages. But anyway, I still see Dallas taking this 3-1 over the Minnesota Rocker. Anyway, guys, that's my CDL Pick'ems video for my bracket for the Minnesota Rocker home series. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below what you guys think the outcomes are going to be this week. I'd love to see them and get a conversation going. And I'll be back with another video for you guys very, very shortly. Peace out, guys.